Hey there viewers, my name's Torinski and welcome back to another DCSS Sunday. Today we're of course jumping right back into the usual routine trying to get a win. Well, I got sidetracked by my old script. Sorry, we're jumping into our usual routine, of course trying to get a win with our favorite 15 Rune Demonspawn here. Jeez Louise, my brain was on autopilot there for a moment. But of course, who knows what the rest of the extended late game has in store for us. Without further ado, let's get ready to hop back in with good old Lucifer here. We finally had managed to get ourselves in a decent spot in terms of resistances. Pretty much across the board, our LEC and our N. Not in the best spot, but we can always continue to work on that as we move forward here. Of course, being monstrous, starting to bite us in the butt a little bit here. Not having these slots available is a little bit rough, but hey, we managed to finish off depths completely here, so now we could either start to clear out Zot a little bit if we want more experience before heading off into the hells or pandemonium. It's gonna be an interesting evening no matter how we slice it, so let's get ready here, shall we? One thing I did want to address right off the start here is we were currently training to get Firestorm online, which I still would like to have at some point in our run. But before then, we might want to start thinking about our Spellforge servitor here. Orb Destruction not only has come close to ending the run a couple of times after an unfortunate friendly fire incident, but on top of that, we had a couple commenters point out the fall off at close range and factors like that, so hopefully we can get Lahudib's Crystal Spear to below 50% failure rate today, and maybe, just maybe, get our Spellforge servitor slinging out some of those bad boys. So in order to do so, it's still at 100% failure rate. We have a decent amount of conjurations though, so I do believe that just training up some earth magic will get us there pretty quickly. So let's put conjurations on hold here, and Flame Strike in general, and let's start thinking about that, shall we? And start bringing on the earth magic. Let's bring it to 12 and see where that leaves us for the time being. Hey Robotiel, haven't seen me in a while. Go Torinski, my precious goober. I'll do my best. We'll do our best really at the end of the day here, but nice to see you. So, do we wish to go to Zot, maybe gain some experience, potentially even get that Lahudib's Crystal Spear up and running before we head off into the end? The other option is we could at least clear out the Vestibule of Hell. We could take on Garion and the forces that are arrayed before us there. I'm in a very indecisive mood today. For the time being, let's check out Zot, shall we? We'll just head that direction for the time being here, and we can at least clear out a couple of the early floors here. Hello there, my friends. So you are a problem, Shadow Dragon. Everyone else not too bad here. We can largely take them out with just ignition and that in mind. Let's start blasting, and in fact, now that our Dragon Pals next to us, Irradiate also coming into play here in a big way, just try to very quickly take care of some of our good old friends here, shall we? Perfect. We can head up before that Orb of Destruction gets any ideas. Starting the antagonistic relationship off early, I see there, my Spellforged friend. No, I wouldn't have felt like the run if that wasn't the case, so that's just fine. And, definitely don't really want to get berserked by these sons of guns, but in a nice... Whoa. Sorry, hold up. Distraction. So, that mutation has got to go. This is the occasionally getting teleported next to monsters in action. That is not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. Looks like a torment maybe came off, and that's why everyone's looking a little bit injured here. But before we get put into a berserk state, I think we need to read teleportation first and foremost. And then maybe we'll ignition, and that should kill off the ghost of Moth. Moth of Wrath. Mixing up my ghost moths and everything else. Feel strangely stable. Oh, that's not great. So we just had our teleport canceled out from under us. Oh, me oh my. That's definitely an exciting start. What's the goal in this one? The goal here is just to get a 15 rune victory, maybe clear a Ziggurat while we're at it. So we're just gonna try and get a bit of experience, prep ourselves for heading off into most likely Pan to begin with. I generally like to go Pan before Hells, but I want to be in a good spot before we risk doing so, of course. And so, Dimension Anchor here is the problem. Are we trying with Demonspawn? We are, and we have a decent set of mutations specifically for Ziggurat if we manage to get there. Having the heal on kills as well as like torment resistance, willpower, it's all pretty fantastic stuff. Just have to survive long enough to see it come to fruition here, shall we? So, let's potion petition here. I'm hoping for some mix of haste and brilliance with a nice heal as well. That works for me. Oh, and an Orb of Fire. Hello, my friend. Perfect, just what we want to see here. So we need to take care of these Draconian Shifters first and foremost. Shouldn't be too difficult at the end of the day here. And in fact, let's go with one more Ignition for good measure here, shall we? Probably should bring in a Spellforge Servitor, but there we go. The Shifters are out of the equation. We can use our last Scroll of Teleport, so hopefully this goes well. And let's bring out the Spellforge Servitor for a hot minute here, and we can even pair up with them for some good old destruction here real quick, shall we? Kind of mix those in with some Ignition casts. We will get sent out of here relatively soon by our teleport, but it's going to be just another quick couple minutes. Hopefully Orb of Fire dies while we're at it. Oof. Not sure if that one managed to take effect before we got blitzed out, but here we are now. And so let's just do our best, shall we? Another potion petition, because things are definitely in a bit of a rough spot here, but nothing a few Ignitions shouldn't be able to largely take care of for us. Bolt of Energy is not great for losing some of our extra abilities here, but hey, not the end of the world. Failing Spellforge Servitor, on the other hand, that's pretty rough. So what do we want to do? We could start running away. Unfortunately, we're no longer hasted, so it's not quite as effective as it would have been a bit ago. Another option is to just start hitting some of our pals here, at least until we get enough magic to potentially make some magic happen here. Oh, geez Louise. Well, it's definitely an exciting start to our evening here. With all the good and the bad that brings us, we can do another huge splurge here to get some good effects. And hopefully that will be enough to see us out of here in one piece. Spellforge Servitor can come back in. Fantastic. And let's step out of the way so that our friend can send in some of the good stuff here real quick. Fantastic. And then otherwise we should be able to get out of here in one piece. Not too shabby whatsoever. Okie dokie. Well, there we go. We managed to recover finally here. Not the greatest start to our Zot. And in fact, before we get teleported in, let's head upstairs to rest. And let's think about this, shall we? We definitely were very happy to have mutation resistance here, and that's why we were trying our best not to have to chug any mutation potions, but unfortunately it is looking like we need to do something about this teleportation, so I think we'll take the risk here, we'll take the chance, and hopefully we manage to keep our resistance to mutations, but we'll see. We feel stable. Now we just shout, but we're still mutation resistant? Fantastic, I'll take that. We're already making just a crap ton of noise with our magic, so that doesn't sound too shabby whatsoever. Fantastic. And beautiful job, my servitor pal. If you can just keep that up, please and thank you. Fantastic. And not too shabby here. Sir, if we could... Oh, you're invisible, that's why. Always forget, I've realized that my server is not firing and I get super confused, but of course they don't have the ability to see invisible enemies, so anytime we come across that, we're gonna be in a little bit of a pickle here. There we go, that's looking slightly better. And now we can kind of just go absolutely ham on our new friends here. Fantastic. Okie dokie. You know, I've been playing the same music for years, but could we think of another mellow music theme? Right, we could. I feel like I'm just far too lazy is the big thing. Because there are definitely a few different kind of game soundtracks that I've thought about adding over the last long while that we've been at this. But I do need to just take some dedicated time at some point to put together a bit of a playlist in that regard. So, potentially. Definitely potentially. Try RimWorld. I do really like the RimWorld soundtrack. I know like the Bastion soundtrack has been up there in my mind as well as an option for us to explore. Not always in the same mood as the Polybridge. That's something that I like about the Polybridge soundtrack is it's very consistent across the board. Okay, let's definitely get rid of you before you anger any of our dragon pals here, because that's never a good time. But fantastic. So far, nothing we can't handle, and that is just wonderful. Ooh, servitor friend, if you could come back in for another moment here, please and thank you. We'll aim for the moth here as soon as possible, just to keep ourselves in one piece, and of course another moth, but not the end of the world here, and I think we're now in a decent position to just fight our way through the rest of these sons of guns. Fantastic. Let's take a look. Earth magic is already up to 5.7. It brings you rage, which the Polybridge soundtrack or the RimWorld one? But okie dokie, let's see, with just 5.7, where does that bring us? Is Lahudim's at all on its way down here? It is, down to 95%, so this is now the time to go. The Polybridge one? So from your experiences with the game, this is definitely fair enough. Remember, we were talking about this last week with someone in chat, just regarding the fact that it's definitely a, can be a frustration-inducing game, which is why, maybe partially why, it decided to have such a relaxing, chill soundtrack. But okay, lots of lightning damage coming in here, so I'm just trying to escape as quickly as possible. Well, that's not super conducive to that. At the very least, we're in a way better place for fire resistance than we used to be back in the day, so we don't have to worry quite so much about you just murdering me off the rip here. But this has been a rough start to our Zot floors for sure. So let's try to come in here, and I do kind of want to kill you with my polearm so we can get an extra little bit of enchantment on that son of a gun. Fantastic. And then we'll maybe try to fight all of our new friends as they come in from a point of slightly greater safety. Fantastic. If you could just keep launching those orbs of destruction, my friend, that would be greatly appreciated. No red draconians, so we can be pretty liberal with the application of ignition here. And okie dokie, we are slowly but surely making our way through. Holy moly. Trying to think of the best form of electricity resistance we could get. I mean, now that we're training Earth, we're probably going to get relatively close to getting statue form online, so we could always decide to dip into transmutations a little bit to make sure that that is fully up and running to give us some little bit of extra survivability as we continue forward here, because things are definitely just going to get rougher as we go along. But hey, hopefully we can figure it out all here together. You got way over 1K followers on Twitter, you ate the Pecky one ship, never doing a milestone again. Definitely fair enough. It was a rough experience then, I gather. Yeah, it's been a long time since I had any exceptionally spicy food, so I definitely I've kind of forgotten what it feels like to absolutely scorch your taste buds. It's not you, it's your birds. Yeah, of course, of course. And let's get some irradiation here to just try and finish off our new friends as quickly as possible. Jeez Louise. Unfortunately timed miscast, but not the end of the world, and we can most likely tab our way through the rest of this encounter without too much ado about nothing here. Fantastic. We'll be slightly careful here now that we're outside of tab range and have to manually press, but there we go. And slowly but surely we're managing to blitz our way through these sons of guns. Fantastic. So why were you like people who love birds want to see no men die to spice? It's surprising just how many people want to see just about anyone die to spice. It is fairly entertaining a lot of the time. It's either entertaining or just extremely painful and horrific. One or the other. So, you know, that's a dice that many people are willing to roll. Hello there, all of my new friends. So we'll keep just blasting through here with ignition, doing a decent amount of damage, at least to all of our draconian pals. The rest of you, unfortunately, in a slightly better spot to deal with it. Those resistances looking a little bit rough, so now's my time to make a quick exit, if you will. So let's just get the heck out of dodge. Maybe bring the servitor back in. Do we want to continue trying? I guess while we're here, we almost might as well. Can bring our constricting pal into the mix here, and hopefully... Servitor? Servitor, they're not invisible this time. What's up, my friend? There we go. At least the gold dragon is getting the usual treatment, so that's nice. I appreciate your contributions, my friend. Handled it quite well here, champ. 5 minutes and no milk or water or anything. Nice, congrats. Though I definitely wouldn't in general recommend water to anyone dealing with spice, because that can oftentimes just make things so much worse as you're spreading the capsaicin throughout your entire mouth until it becomes fully overwhelming and there's nothing you can do to escape it. But okay, we'll definitely once again swap over to melee attacks, trying to get a few more enchantment boosts to our lovely lance here. And beautiful. I was gonna say let's try not to go in here. It's looking like we're potentially gonna have to. I guess we have one stairwell that's safe to continue exploring here. And if we take another peek, earth magic now up to 8, so it's starting to continue to climb. Yeah, rather than starting, it's continuing to climb at a decent rate here, bringing Lahudibs to 83 one day here. And hey, Katra, thank you so much for the 8 months Prime. Always happy to see your name pop up here. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, wonderful January, wonderful 2023 in general. Always fantastic to see you, my friend. Okie dokie. So we know that this is our only stairwell that we currently have access to here, so we want to be slightly cautious not to get too overwhelmed one way or another. And in fact, we just take our death cob pal upstairs now, play it as safe as possible. Guess we could at least wait until we get slowed, or potentially take a few more of our other enemies in with us here and see how that goes in the long run. Have to be slightly more cautious of the tentacled monstrosity, because getting constricted on the stairs sounds like a pretty quick way to disaster here. But there we go, we killed the cob without getting slowed. We do have the Moth of Wrath coming in. Oof, oof, oof. You don't overtake anything with state of mind? Very true. Well, and a lot of like endurance challenges like that, you know, long distance running, dealing with spicy stuff, you know, all those usual things that we'll deal with on an everyday basis here. Very much a mental game. But hey, your mom says you're not slow, just more cautious. Well, and that's That's a good trait to have. I find myself far too often in the opposite boat, and it generally doesn't end up going super hot for us here, so hopefully I can take a little bit of inspiration from that statement and maybe, just maybe, introduce some caution into our lovely Demonspawn friend here today. But okay, we can definitely try and get the Orb of Fire kind of halfway between me and my servitor pal, so that ideally we're hitting it with basically everything at once, and there we go, fantastic. Not too bad of an approach for dealing with an Orb of Fire. That I can definitely deal with in the future. So hopefully we're on our way to making some more money back. I decided not to use bribes because I just want to get all the experience we can possibly garner from the area here. But who knows how this will go in the long run. Definitely could come back to bite us in the butt. So we'll have to just hold out for a hero for the moment here, cross our fingers, and try to get through Orb of Zot in one piece. Ooh, don't even have enough magic for another Orb of Destruction, hey? Then you, my friend, can just come with us at the very least. We have seen Visible. Please don't drain any of my strength, though. Already in a rough spot in that regard. In fact, Intelligence, not that much better, as that brings all of our casting rates to a slightly less than ideal spot, but hey, it is what it is, and we'll just have to make do for the time being here. Hello, my electrical friends. If we could all just chill out just the slightest bit here, that would be fantastic. Not too shabby. And yet another dragon pal here to say hello, but we'll just keep launching Orbs of Destruction to our heart's content here, feeling fantastic. One thing I should do, actually, maybe before we get too much more carried away here on the current level. Let's try that again. Spellforge Servitor, I choose you. Ooh, getting hit onto a Zot trap. Well, that was slightly less than ideal, shall we say. Let's just start blasting all these sons of guns. At least the majority of them are overlapping with each other, so we should get a decent amount of damage output from these ignitions. Let's go one more. And then we'll have to start thinking through here. We're at a nice amount of health. And let's see, we're still constricted from you. Can have a decent amount of damage coming in from all of our lovely friends here. Let's take a bit of a sip break here to decide, do I need to spend money? Do I need to dip into my backpack of consumables here? How many runes do I have? We currently have 5. We have all the kind of base game runes. And yeah, if you do right curly brace, so shift square bracket, you get to this screen here and you can take a quick peek. Always remind yourself where you're sitting, where you're at. So yeah, all the base game runes, everything that we've seen before in our 3 rune games. We just have Pan, Hell, and of course, can't forget Tomb waiting for us in the future here. As I try to step away from our tentacled friend to no real avail. But there we go. That's clear enough that we can probably take care of the rest of these sons of guns and heal up. Oh, you shift square bracket, of course. Yeah, very intuitive, you know? But okie doke, so let's bring in our servitor friend once again here. I kind of wish that our lance did better against all of our draconian pals here, but unfortunately they don't quite get full dragon stats in that regard. Oof, that crystal spear hurts something fierce. Let's just murder you with a quick irradiate and heal up. Holy moly. I mean, that's kind of why we want our Spellforge Servitor to be slinging that bad boy, because just take a look at how rough that was coming our way. Seems like something that would be quite fantastic to get flipped around here. Hootub's at 80%. That lost intelligence definitely hitting pretty hard. In general, our stats on this run aren't in the hottest place. You know, our melee damage with our lance is definitely severely reduced by our only 5 strength. On top of that, casting becomes a little bit trickier. Okay, and we have a bunch of electrical damage coming our way here. let's bring you upstairs, my friend, and if we can just handle these sons of guns one at a time, our wave of death grows in power will be, and not too shabby here. Okie dokie, and up to plus 16 on the Dragon Slayer Lance. Feeling good, looking good, and ready to rumble. So we'll kind of just sit off in relative safety behind our Spellforged friend here and try and shoot in some attacks from beyond here as much as we possibly can. Hasted Draconian could be a little bit rough to deal with, especially if it, holy moly, dodges right past our Orb of Destruction. Incredible job, my friend, much as it pains me to admit, but let's bring you upstairs. Yeah, lightning, not great for us here. If we can get resistance and some healing, that's a perfect potion petition for us here. And then we can launch in to a little bit of good old combat. Fantastic. Okie dokie, and let's say goodbye to that staircase for the time being here. Maybe head somewhere slightly better up here. Would be nice, could be nice, hopefully. Let's see how she goes, shall we? And of course, what I've been forgetting to do this whole time is read a magic mapping. Let's get a little bit of a better idea as to what we're dealing with here. And a pretty wide open floor. This staircase should actually help us out in that regard, seeing as how our Spellforged friend does slightly better work when they have the room to deal with it. In fact, if you can just keep launching those, good enough, my friend. I think I can then take this son of a gun out and keep increasing our lance's power here. Not too shabby. A bit of drain coming our way for sure, a bit more than I would like. Let's see, is there anything we could do? We could swap back to our amulet. I mean, we already have resist corrosion, so it's not too bad, but reflection might do us a little bit better than regeneration. We of course swapped to regeneration for our trip through the abyss. Let's switch back so that we can maybe get some of these bolts heading the other direction. And instead of this fire resistance, a little bit of extra positive energy could definitely go a long way here, and that puts us in a slightly better spot, still severely missing this electricity resistance, but that's not the end of the world, and I think we can figure it out here. Okie dokes. Let's do this, shall we? Accidentally bringing up foxfires. It's been a long time since we saw any foxfires. You know, it's brings a twinkle of reminiscence to my eye, for sure. But beautiful work there, my Spellforged friend, and we'll stay out of sight of this alarm trap for as long as we possibly can here. Let's try and drop an exclusion on that just to be extra sure. And bring out the ignition as our new friends start to coalesce, and if we get a surround like this, we can either fight our way through it, or my original plan was actually going to be some irradiation. Turns out not really necessary, and we can just finish everyone off the old-fashioned way here. Not too shabby whatsoever. Ring of Wizardry could be nice, and Josephina. Hello there, my friend. I think I've only seen you one time. So, Seraphal, what the heck are you? So, having some Lacrum next to us definitely could be a painful experience in more ways than one. Ghosted Fireball, Flash Freeze? Interesting. Significant harm and slowing our movement. Well, that doesn't sound great. Let's definitely bring out the Servitor here, and let's try to just launch an absurd number of orbs at these sons of guns. Beautiful. And not too shabby here. Keep it up, my Spellforged friend, as I just run circles around our new friends. Wonderful.